I want to talk about something. I want to talk about how, because I haven't seen this. I haven't seen no videos. I haven't heard nobody speak about this. And I want to speak about it. We don't talk enough. And I feel like this is going to resonate for anybody. I mean, anybody, if you've kept a diary, if you've kept multiple diaries as a kid, you're going to resonate with this, hopefully. Maybe. Who knows? But we don't talk enough about the trauma that comes from, because we got to understand trauma comes in all different shapes, forms, everything. We don't talk enough about the trauma that comes from having a diary as a kid where you feel as though you can freely express yourself, and your siblings find your diary and essentially mock and humiliate you for the things that you've expressed in your diary. We don't talk about it enough. Growing up, I kid you not, I went through maybe 4 diaries until I reached my breaking point and I said, fuck it. I'm just not gonna keep a diary no more. Because in my household, there was no open communication policy to express negative emotions. And even when there were opportunities for me to express those negative emotions, I observed from both my mother and my siblings how they handled the situation. Like, any of y'all have family members where, you know, they want to give you the opportunity to express yourself. They want to give you the opportunity to say whatever it is that you need to say, to express whatever it is that you feel, but yet they agitated with you about it. So their approach is from agitation, right? You sitting there contemplating if you should say anything or not, because you're observing their body language, you're hearing the things that they're saying, you're picking up on their facial expression. You just see that clearly whatever it is you want to say, or whatever it is you want to express to them, is not going to be welcome. It's not going to be welcome. And it's like them giving you the floor, the opportunity to speak up for yourself. It's just more like you can't say we didn't try to do this, because we did. But yet the energy that they're bringing to this opportunity is not one that's welcoming. As a young adult, you know, I journal every now and then. Whenever I kind of just feel like it. It's not something that, well, then I talk to myself a lot. And I feel like from having that experience as a child, where every diary I had, the first diary I had, every diary I had to create a new hiding spot. Literally, I've had to create a new hiding spot. Talk about invasion of privacy. Because for one, in my personal opinion, I wouldn't have felt the need to keep a diary if my family members had the capacity to accept the way I felt about certain things and not be dismissive about how I felt about it, or not try to gaslight me and tell me, oh, well, you won't feel the way you feel if XYZ. You won't have to worry about that if XYZ. Every diary I had to find a new hiding spot. And they kept finding them. Any opportunity they had, they was rummaging through my room to find my diaries. So I just said, fuck it, I'm not keeping a diary no more. And I think that's where it really transpired to me talking more to myself. Because I've always talked to myself as a child. I've always talked to myself. But keeping a diary was just more so like having something that was tangible. It's like, I don't know, I can't really explain it. It felt good to be able to put my thoughts onto paper, or the things that I wanted to say to them, but I couldn't express to them because I didn't feel safe to express to them on paper. Like, it felt good to be able to do that. It was a sense of relief. That's self-care. But the fact that it got to a point where I no longer felt safe enough to even have that sense of privacy for myself. Because everything that I speak when I'm having conversations with myself, whether it be internal conversations where I'm really talking to myself in my head, because I can hear myself talking to myself internally, or if it's me speaking out externally, I'm always having a conversation with it. It's always been me, the universe, God, my angels, It's always been. It's always been. Ever since I was a child, I always knew I was not exactly alone, even though physically it may look like I'm alone, but I knew in some way I wasn't alone. So the fact that as a child, you get to this point where, for one, you already don't feel safe to vocalize what it is that you feel, or whatever it is you need to say to your family members. So you find a different outlet for it, and even that is not safe. We don't talk about this. I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one. There were literally times where my siblings would literally gather me and them together, and again, give me the opportunity to express myself. But the energy was so heavy, and it was just nasty. It was just like, y'all don't really want to hear what I gotta say. You don't really want to hear what I have to say. And then the fact that they'll sit there and be yelling at you because you're not talking, you just sitting there quiet. Because I don't feel safe to speak up on what it is that I want to speak up about, because y'all giving off weird and unwelcoming energy. We don't talk about this enough. We really don't. We really don't. Because the crazy thing about it is, again, this is supposed to be your family. This is supposed to be your community where that level of safety is supposed to be present. But it's not. It's not. And I think this is why some of us go our whole life feeling like we don't have nobody we can really turn to. We don't have nobody we can really talk to, because we've had traumatizing experiences like this. There was even a point in my life where, I'll never forget this. This is when I was here like my peak teenage year. So, you know, my hormones and everything was changing. Everything about me, according to my family, I was having more attitudes than ever. I was just really fed up with a lot of stuff. I was just really fed up. I was fed up with all the facades that I was seeing. I was fed up with the facades that I was hearing, going to church. There was a lot. There was a lot that I was dealing with. And so there was this one opportunity I'll never forget. It was New Year's. It was New Year. It was going into like 2013, 2014 or something like that, because I was transitioning over to high school. And I had an attitude that day. I was just fed the fuck up. I had an attitude. One of my sisters was like, what you got an attitude about? Like, that's how they all got, what's your problem? What you got an attitude about? It was never what's wrong. There was never a calm, welcoming approach. It was always met with an attitude from them. And so even my mom got into it. My mom was just like, plain as day, if you don't want to say what you need to say, at least write it down. Bet. I wrote my mom like a 5-page letter, front and back, expressing to her how I felt. And I sat there, I watched her read my letter. She got emotional, she cried a little bit. She called me into the room with her to, again, try to like justify the things that I had expressed to her. Mind you, moving forward, there was no change whatsoever. So it was just, I just wasted my time, I wasted all my energy writing that for what? For what? Now I get it. Because I'm the kind of person, I know how to see things from other people's perspective, just not my own perspective. I get it. If you're a parent or you're an older sibling, it is very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to have to sit with yourself and literally process another person's emotions towards you or feelings towards you that aren't entirely positive. Because again, as human beings, we have this thing about ourselves where we don't, I've mentioned this before, we don't like to be called out on our bullshit. And we damn sure don't want to feel as though someone else, has like strife towards us, have a negative perspective on us. We don't like that. But I feel like this is a very common thing. I mean, this is pretty common in a lot of households, but within the Black and brown community, I feel like this is very common, where we don't know how to acknowledge these things. We don't know how to sit down with our children and, like I stated in one of my videos before, we don't know how to take accountability for ourselves. We don't know how to actually see the problem and come up with a resolution for it so that we can move forward in a more positive direction. A lot of us don't, in a lot of our families, we don't know how to do that. We don't have the capacity to have the ability to do that. So a lot of things go unspoken. A lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts, whatever the case may be, a lot of these things kind of just go ignored, just kind of brushed under the rug. And then there's this expectation on you where it's like, just move on, just don't even worry about it. But something we have to understand is, for one, the body keeps score. Our spirit, everything about our overall being keeps score of these things. So when we don't have a safe outlet to be able to express ourselves in the way that we need to, because it's unrealistic to always be happy. It's unrealistic to just go through life not feeling any types of negative emotions. That's just very unrealistic. And I feel like a lot of us try to do that until we get to this point where now we're mentally exhausted, we're spiritually exhausted, we're physically exhausted, because again, our body has been keeping score of these things. We have subconsciously learned from these interactions within our families, we have learned to suppress these emotions within ourselves, because we were never exactly taught or provided a healthy opportunity to express these emotions, these feelings in a very healthy manner. So a lot of us will spend our life feeling like we can't talk to nobody. And even if we do have someone in our life who, has that open communication policy, they're able to hold space for us to express whatever it is that we need to express, we don't feel as though, even with somebody like that in our life, that's something that can be done, because we've had this traumatizing experience in our life where when we had ways to express ourselves, whether that was through a diary, whether that was the opportunity to actually sit down with your family members or whoever and have that conversation, it didn't go well. It didn't go well. So that's something, that's a regulation that stays within our subconscious minds, and it goes with us throughout our full adulthood. And that also may be the reason why a lot of us genuinely don't really know how to communicate. We don't know how to express certain emotions because we've had to suppress them. We were taught subconsciously, these certain emotions, these certain feelings, they don't matter. There's no space for them here. So you can't express those things. There's certain things you cannot say. There's certain things you just cannot, it's not valid for you to feel that way that you feel. This is the reason why a lot of us don't, we shut down when these emotions, these feelings come up. This is why. But again, we can't look at our family shortcomings and try and justify that, because that's something that I did too as a child. I would try to justify their behavior, but then at the same time, there'll be another side of me that's just like, but no, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And you guys are supposed to be my family. You guys are supposed to be the ones that I'm able to come to if I have anything, any concerns, any questions, anything like that. But because I don't have the space, I don't have the security to do that, how else am I supposed to express myself? How else am I supposed to let you know that you hurt my feelings? How else am I supposed to let you know I didn't like that you did that? I didn't appreciate when you did this. I didn't appreciate when you did that. How are we supposed to do that? Because we're not being properly taught to do those things. We're not. And that was one of the realizations that came to me when I was in my 7-year relationship. I had to come into understanding of my own communication style. I was being very aggressive with old boy. And even when I tried different forms of communication with him, it was like nothing was still getting through to him. But at the end of the day, that wasn't his problem, not my problem. But my problem was the fact that I didn't really know how to communicate certain emotions in a healthy manner for him to be able to comprehend what it is that I was actually saying to him or expressing to him, because I didn't have that outlet. Or when I had that outlet, it wasn't validated. It wasn't accepted. This is something that we don't talk about a lot. We don't. And this isn't about even trying to expose nobody or anything like that. Look, one way of healing is talking about the trauma. It's talking about the things that you've experienced. And that's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. So you can have a problem with me all day, every day, but truth hurts. And it's within my purpose to speak the truth. And I don't hit a lot of nobody. But we have to understand that is a form of trauma. That is a form of trauma when you have an outlet to be able to express yourself, but when that outlet is like exposed and you're humiliated for it, how else are you supposed to be able to express yourself if you can't even do it with the people that you love or the people that claim they love you? I'm just saying, don't shoot me down for it, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying.